then you should understand that the ginormous amount of looting that has already taken place through the legal structure is something you should pay attention to. And it's weirdly enough, not something that the media covers. It's indefensible. Authorities warn of looting and scams in the wake of California wildfires.
Are warning looters looking to take advantage of the disaster, they will be prosecuted. But we're also seeing so many people come together to help and lift each other up. Kana Whitworth is at Santa Anita Park with more on that. Good morning to you, Kana.
Yeah, Robin, good morning. Look, that support is on full display here. This is the parking lot. It is completely covered with donations here. This has been a community-run grassroots effort to help people in need. And to give you an idea of the scope of this, a lot of people lost everything that they had, and everyone that they know lost everything that they had. So this is a way that the community is just trying to get them the necessities. This morning, the Los Angeles County Sheriff with an urgent warning to people who are taking advantage of a desperate situation.
Don't do it. Whether it is burglary, looting, or any other crime, whether it's a scam of some kind that you're conjuring up to make money off of the poor people that have been involved in this.
Officials warning burglars, looters, and scammers that they will be prosecuted if they take advantage of people who've been through this tragedy. A curfew order has been established from dusk till dawn in the affected fire zones to protect homes. Authorities increasing patrols and deploying the National Guard to assist. One suspect arrested after they were caught burglarizing a home in Malibu, disguised as a firefighter. The FBI now investigating the drone that collided with the Super Scooper aircraft while it was delivering desperately needed water to the Palisades fire. It will be back in operation today after this hole was punctured in it. Officials warning the public not to fly drones.
This is extremely illegal and extremely...
All right, half of the videos so far have been dedicated to the, a good part of it is dedicated to the community rebuilding and the efforts to help one another. There's been one guy that portrayed himself as a firefighter to engage in looting inside of Malibu, which is psychotic. Okay. There's a total of, I believe at this point, 29 arrests that have occurred where they were arrested under suspicion of looting. Not every single one of those guys were, interested in looting. Most likely. Don't know how many of them have been released so far, how many of them are being prosecuted. But having said that, once again, I will repeat that Los Angeles County, the greater Los Angeles area, is 18 million, almost 19 million people. Okay? Yeah, there are people who will probably get arrested for curfew violations as well, and not necessarily for looting. But let's see how much they talk about the scams and what the nature of these scams are. Especially considering that, as I've repeated time and time again, the real looting begins when the insurance company denies your claims. The real looting begins when private equity comes in and tries to purchase your lot that is burned into ashes for a very comfortable price point, much lower than the actual market value. The real looting begins when corporate landlords decide to engage in the act of price gouging, the illegal act of price gouging. This is what I try to reiterate. This is not a defense of a opportunistic charlatan who is so desperate in terms of his own material conditions that he is deciding to engage in a crisis opportunity to make money for themselves by going into a Malibu mansion that hasn't been burned into the ground and try to steal a television. Okay? The price point of such things is so marginal and so inconsequential when you compare it to the real looting, the legalized version of said looting. Look, see, this is what I mean. Look. So you defending looting, they should loot your rich crib. Just example, at Hasanabi, wish no harm. I'm not defending this. This is an indefensible act. Everybody understands that this is an indefensible act. But if you have smoke for this person, okay, then you should understand that the ginormous amount of looting that has already taken place through the legal structure is something you should pay attention to. And it's weirdly enough, not something that the media covers or pays attention to all that much. Okay? It's indefensible. Sometimes looting is necessary in some situations. No, come on, dude. Going into a neighborhood that has been charred and want peace, Jesus is king. Okay, the brain capacity of people who go, oh, you're defending looting. I'm not. I'm actually telling you that looting is indefensible while simultaneously telling you why mainstream media doesn't pay attention to the real, ginormously consequential looting that happens under the watchful eye of the legal structure, especially if it's done for profit. It's easy to go after small fish, a lot harder when it's a whale. No, I think there's a more nefarious purpose behind that, because we are so conditioned into expecting corporations to behave at the behest of profit that all of that stuff is completely legal. Even when it's technically illegal, like price gouging is illegal. Okay? It's something that people should pay attention to and wonder why. It's something that people should pay close attention to and wonder why the media doesn't actually prime you in that direction and consistently reshifts your attention over to the individual looters, making it seem like it's a far larger problem. Because out of the 12,000 structures that burned down, many of the people that owned those houses are going to be impacted by significantly larger sums of money. Okay? I'll give you an example. I will give you an example. A looter goes into a random home in a neighborhood that is burned down to steal jewelry. This is a completely unacceptable and gross act, okay? That person is capable of, let's say, stealing upwards of $100,000 worth of jewelry. In the most extreme example that I can give you, in the most extreme hypothetical that I can give you that would favor the argument of like hyper-focusing on random looters, okay? Down the street, there are houses that are burned to the ground. Those houses, let's say, are at least $3 to $5 million. Those lots are purchased by private equity for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. The penalty in that regard, the theft that took place in that regard, is initially conducted by the insurance company that denies your claims. Let's say they don't give you the price of all of the goods that you lost. They never do. That's how they generate profit. Also, on top of that, they don't give you money to rebuild. Okay, so there's at least a couple $100,000 that was shaved by the insurance company right there. A couple $100,000 that were stolen by the insurance company right there for something that you paid for that you are not going to be able to get. Okay, then on top of that, because now you're in a dire financial predicament and your house is burned into ashes and you have no confidence that you can rebuild it ever again, okay? Now you got other opportunists coming in to basically take the land out of your hands. Let's say your house was $3.5 million. They're trying to purchase it at a price point at like $700,000. Now the penalties incurred, the theft that has taken place in one singular home in this neighborhood, the damage done to one singular family in this neighborhood as a direct consequence of this wildfire is in the millions. That's one house. There are 12,000 structures that burn to the ground, and this situation is going to play itself out 12,000 times. The number of the true theft and the real looting that will take place in the aftermath of the rebuilding process that is long, complicated, and obviously litigation will have to take place as well to claw back every single dollar that you technically paid for, is to the tune of billions. So one must ask themselves, okay? One must ask themselves why everyone is so primed into thinking about the one guy that stole, let's say, upwards of $100,000 worth of jewelry, as opposed to the hundreds of billions potentially, if not at least in the most conservative estimate, tens of billions of dollars that were stolen from the hundreds of thousands of people that have suffered major emotional and financial loss in the aftermath of this natural disaster. Think about that. Think about where our priorities lie. Think about why mainstream media covers one aspect of the situation a lot more than they cover the other serialized, systematized form of looting. One is considered the normal machinations of the free market. The other is obviously a criminal element. A lot of people look at this, the system that we exist under, and think like, no, this is normal. A lot of people are skeptical of mainstream media narratives. And yet, for some reason, they never exercise that healthy skepticism when it matters, getting duped by mainstream narratives in this regard, because they feed into your reactionary tendencies. Everyone understands that the person who dresses up like a firefighter to go into a house that hasn't been burned down to steal stuff is an evil person, okay? Everybody understands that, but you never consider the faceless, systematized form of looting that takes place that actually damages a far larger chunk of the population with awards that are upwards of tens of billions of dollars. That's the real looting. And yet, that's also not the real looting that you ever hear about. You rarely ever hear about it in comparison to the looting conducted by individuals. That's simply all I'm saying. Ask yourself why. Now, there's another aspect of the looting that I didn't even mention, which is price gouging. In the process of you trying to rebuild your house, you also need a place to live, right? You need a place to live. And the existing supply of housing market went down and the demand went up. Now you got at least 12,000 single family homes, or even more than that, because it's structures. So there's apartment buildings as well. There are tens of thousands of new rental units that are an absolute necessity for survival. People need shelter to exist. People need shelter. They have jobs, right? They have to be in the approximate neighborhood of where they used to live. And here it is. While despite the fact that there is a law against price gouging, prices have spiked on some LA rentals as fire victims search for places to stay. Some rental listings have shot up above the allowable 10% overnight. I've seen increases of 100%, chat. 100%. And people look to this and go, well, that's normal market conditions. No, it's not. You can say that about price gouging across the board, always. Smaller landlords tend to do stuff like this because they don't know the laws. Okay, first of all, if you think that this is just smaller landlords doing stuff like this, let me tell you, okay, you're wrong. Also, ignorance to the law does not change the dynamic of doing something that is, one, morally repugnant, and two, illegal. Is there even a mechanism of enforcement of this type of price gouging? Yes, there is. You can report price gougers to the prosecutor's office, I believe. But here's the other side of the story. If the media was consistently focusing on this, the real looting that is occurring, with a dollar value significantly higher than whatever a singular looter could potentially steal from a house, and if you had a competent district attorney that actually cared about defending victims of a natural disaster, then they would get the word out. And this wouldn't be relegated to TikTok and random people trying to engage in grassroots initiatives to try and report people to their local prosecutor's office. That's it. Like, it's crazy that because the system is so broken that it genuinely requires people to take matters in their own hands. Here's an example of such.
Hi everyone, tutorial on how to find and report predatory Los Angeles landlords who are taking advantage of fire victims and jacking up their prices. Anyone can do this. You don't need to live in the Los Angeles area. All you have to do is go to one of the rental websites like Zillow or Trulia and scroll through listings in the Los Angeles area and look for rental history. My dog wanted me to check this listing out. So I scrolled down to the bottom to look at the rental history, and oh look, this listing was increased by $2,500 a month on the second day of the devastating fire.
How much you want to bet they'll pressure Zillow and Altrulia to no longer show previous rental history numbers or something? It's probably not going to work, obviously. But if I'm in charge of big landlord, that is what I would try to do to try and hide this crime. in an effort to combat against this kind of, mass reporting.
That is a price gouge. They are obviously trying to take advantage of people who have lost their homes and need a place to stay. This is my spreadsheet that I'm keeping track of everything. And yeah, anything more than 10% is illegal. So unfortunately for them, we will be reporting them to the Attorney General's office. And they could face fines and jail time. So we will be reporting them. There's a form that you can fill out. And yeah, happy hunting. Honestly, these people are predatory. And
who the F can afford this, bro? 7K? Brother, 7K is actually a 56% increase, which is above the legal limit, like significantly above the legal limit. But what's really funny about that is that 7K is nothing. There's properties in Los Angeles that were $15,000 under quote unquote normal market conditions, and now they're going for $30,000 a month. Markiplier mentioned this problem in his newest video around the 620-ish mark, I believe.
Fundraising for. So this is supporting the LA Fire Department, the California Fire Foundation, the World Central Kitchen, Baby to Baby, and CORE.
What's really funny is I saw someone on my subreddit talking about, like, we really got to get better at sending Hasan links with the adequate time codes. And this chatter straight up did the same thing that everyone was complaining about, and just sent me a link of Markiplier's video with the incorrect time code instantly. I can't send the link, but FEMA actually created this atmosphere in Maui after the fires. They were offering something like $11K a month for 2 bedrooms for survivors, and it was pricing out people who were there before the fire. That's probably coming to until Trump sit up. No, I'm not going to ban them. I'm not going to ban them. Let's continue.
They should be held accountable.
But it's crazy. Like I said, like, I mean, yet another reason why they want to ban TikTok. But it's interesting to think, it's really sad when you think about it, that all of these issues are left to individuals who take matters in their own hands. Like, there's just a competent government would immediately ensure that there is a rental price freeze. Okay. That's what you would do. You would say, hey, by the way, tough times. Okay. Sorry to all the big landlords and small mom and pop landlords, but you're not allowed to increase your rental prices. That is crazy. Okay. What do you mean? You want to behave like an opportunist? Like, what the hell are you doing? No, you're not allowed to do that. We're doing a price freeze on rent. Okay. That way, the additional FEMA funds and resources that come in to the victims are not being used to price out the existing people that need places to live in as well. I was going to say using, and then I realized that use would be better. So I said used. Yes, you got me. You got me, you children. Oh my God. I can never, there's just nothing I can do. This community will always be led by silly billies.
Dangerous.
But also the best of humanity in Santa Anita Park. Thousands coming together to help those in need.
We are giving away free food.
It all started with a TikTok gaining thousands of views. Jerry Martinez, Juan Diaz, and Jimmy Medina simply.
Our corrupt city attorney, Heidi Feldstein Soto, has been conspicuously absent over the past week.
Wanted to give out food in their community, with their efforts inspiring others, and now turning this racetrack parking lot into a massive donation center.
Recently, we've been having so many donations from all over the state. We have wheelchairs, we have coffee pots, we have blankets, we have clothes, we have essentials, hygiene packs. The support from the community has been really, really, really moving.
It is amazing. Another thing that Alex shared with me is that some people lost so much that when they come here to this donation site, they don't even have a bag or anything to take stuff home with them. So they're trying to figure that out. People are having to make multiple trips out here. They saw thousands out here yesterday, and George, they expect thousands more again today and the coming days as well, George.
I'm sure we're going to see that. Okay, thanks very much.
Where do you source your chicken? Just wondering, because eating a lot of animal proteins can be harmful if every single day from the wrong places. These are the reasons why I both love and hate Twitch streaming. I don't know where I source my chicken from, man. From Ralph's. That's where I source my chicken from. Anyway, I just realized you guys got your conservatives, Republicans in charge, and your Lib Dems Democrats as your opposition. Your whole system is right leaning. You don't have a Labor Party. I know, but like, look at the UK. The UK has a Labor Party, and it's turning into a Democrat Republican style structure there as well. Anyway, question: is a 10% increase limited to California and only after disasters? Yes. Every state has their own price gouging mechanisms. Anyway, here we'll watch Markiplier's video as well, and then we'll move on to Biden talking about the oh, there's a brief Elon Musk bit here as well. I just wanted to talk about Elon positively embarrassing himself when the firefighter tells him he's full of shit and then immediately ending the stream. Perfect. Let's take a look.
So, all right, what about water availability? Was water availability? I understand that was like not an issue in Malibu. Is that correct?
Was it water?
Well, yeah.
So there was water. We have several reservoirs that encinos that we use a lot. Now, just an example, if we have one building burning, we could flow 1,000 gallons a minute on that one building with the hose lays that we put in to stop it. You can imagine 1,000 gallons per house we couldn't do, right? So the amount of water we're flowing, there really is no water system that's going to keep that pace. So we have to bring in water tenders, which are these big tank water tanks that, 2,500, 3,000 gallon trucks, and they'll come in. And that's what we have to do to compensate. So
Incredible aspect ratio from the guy who owns the website that he's filming this this video on. Ironically, he's also doing this specifically to cut like right-wing commentary and still failing to do a good job.
So they park out there, do it. DWP did a great job. They brought in big water trucks for us, and we use them as basically mobile hydrants.
All right.
Right, and then we have our own agency as well that has water tenders.
Okay. My understanding is that like along the, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, in Malibu along the coast there was no shortage of water. In the Palisades there was a shortage of water at a certain point. Or is that not accurate?
Well, we were flowing just an amount of water that the system couldn't overbear. That we're just overbearing, just because of how much water these firefighters were utilizing.
Okay.
How can you think this guy is Adrian Dittman, dude? He can't ask a single normal question without going Anyway, I mean, both are losers. That's true. And they're losers in the same identical way. Anyway, but yeah, the conversation takes place. He tries to hit him with the, well, what about the waters? What about the waters? And the guy's like, no, we had enough water.
All right. Sounds good.
Has water tenders.
Okay. My understanding is that like along the, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, in Malibu along the coast there was no shortage of water. In the Palisades there was a shortage of water at a certain point. Or is that not accurate?
Well, we were flowing just an amount of water that the system couldn't overbear. That we're just overbearing, just because of how much water these firefighters were utilizing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. I guess there was enough water. USI. I'm glad he found a non-DEI firefighter though, because I know his audience would not be receptive if it was a DEI firefighter who told him there was enough water. Anyway, a lot of people also don't understand that, like, the fire is more impactful than just like losing your shelter, which is obviously devastating, right? Your life is completely destabilized at that point. But more importantly than that, you lose remnants of your humanity, things that tie you to your loved ones, your prized possessions. Like, this is where you keep all of your things. Okay, it's not just your paperwork, you can replace that, but there are irreplaceable things that you have in your house, things that were left behind from your loved ones that no longer are with you, things that connect you to them. John Mayer actually had a really good point on this, and I reposted it on my Instagram. I'm gonna hold on. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I think it was really good. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here's what he said. This is the most valuable thing I own. It's a folder of photos of my father, spanning his life from being a baby, an educator, a husband, and a father. It's the only evidence of his life that will exist over time. These are the documents you read about people taking from their homes. When you hear someone say they've lost everything in a fire, this is much of that everything, if not all of it. Those who say they'll be okay still have their folders and their albums. Those who are inconsolable have lost them. Just behind the immeasurable loss of life is the loss of the proof of life. I don't practice prayer, but tonight I will say one for everyone who no longer has these items. It's not about the art and the collectibles. It's the photos, the letters, the class rings, the eyeglasses, and the things that we keep us, the things that we keep to remind us that those we loved were here. May those who have lost so much find some semblance of hope and support from their family and friends. Stay safe, look out for one another and yourself, and trust that humanity and all it entails, though sometimes hard to see, is alive and well. This is truly devastating. It's true. Like when your house burns down in a fire, a lot of people immediately start thinking like, oh, well, you know, you're devoid of shelter. But like outside of the material realities there is something immaterial, something infinitely more consequential for a lot of people. Things that remind them of their loved ones, you know, that are no longer with them. Like all of these cherished possessions. It's you know, it's genuinely devastating. People don't realize that after the fire's over, there's a grueling, awful process that takes years sometimes to get these houses rebuilt. Yeah, just verifying who owns what is a whole nightmare, and then insurance companies come in before you're allowed to even go into the homes. That's just the start. Yes, there's also opportunists at every step. There are opportunists that have already started the real looting process, okay? People who are, one, trying to immediately offer cash for the existing lots in people's weakest moments, okay? That's number one. Number two, you have price gougers in the rental market. Come February 1st, this is going to be a gigantic problem in Los Angeles. If it's not combated adequately, you will see the housing market go out of control even more than it was. Okay? You are going to see the real looting, not the poor people that are messing around or are you know, trying to take advantage of the crisis to steal a television or something. Okay? The real looting will happen at the point of banks, private equity, and the real estate market. Okay? That is where the real looting will occur. The real looting will also occur on the insurance side as well. Just remember that. But you will not hear that. You will never hear about that in the news, okay? They'll maybe begrudgingly point to it every now and then. And it's already started, especially because the Pacific Palisades is like a relatively well-off neighborhood. A lot of the surrounding areas that have homes intact, single-family homes intact, are putting up rental properties that are double the already inflated rental market prices. If a single-family home for like 6 people to 8 people is going for $10,000 a month normally, which is already insanely inflated, right? Now it's going for $30,000 a month. Here, I'll cover this as well. This is just the beginning of thread. Let me try to lay out what next 3 months is going to look like for the homeowners in LA who have lost everything in the fires. But before we do that, here is Fran, okay, talking about the impact this has had on her and her community.
This is your house?
This is my house. This one right here. We moved in 26 years ago. And we did the floors and we put in windows and doors and painted and just put, my grandchildren loved it. My son and my daughter-in-law, my family, we hosted Christmas Eve and Christmas Day here, and everybody was here. My little house that I loved. My husband just had his 4th cancer surgery. I poured everything into it. My nephew.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
I really am. I don't even know what to say.
That's okay. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just We haven't been sleeping. We haven't slept. We're staying at a hotel. We have nowhere to go. We don't know what we're doing. We were close neighbors. Buzz and Todd. His mom passed away and they took over the house. John just lost his wife that he adored, but was taking care of that house. She was a Superior Court judge. And Beverly and John, so much love. She was so incredible. And the house is gone.
I just can't believe they're all gone. Like
they're all gone. See, Debbie and us and Tina, our children went to school together from kindergarten. Our kids are in their 47 years old. And Debbie's 47-year-old son tragically passed away last August. Her oldest child. Her grief is so deep, I can't imagine.
My rental home in Florida was destroyed by Milton. Not looking for sympathy, just providing context of the LA residents. I did not sign up for a natural disaster, nor do I have any experience dealing with them. The initial loss of property is just the beginning. Newsom now needs to get FEMA coordinated because step one is access and assessment. After Milton, there were homes in the middle of the road, a road that have 5 feet of sand covered in some places and debris everywhere. My property was located in a place that was protected by the National Guard. No one was legally allowed to even see the home for 5 days. Everything's a mystery until you get to your home. How bad is it? Everything you have to do at this point is a hassle. Where do you stay? How do you rent a car? If I really want a pickup truck, why are there only electric cars available to rent? It's difficult to know where to begin. Okay, this stuff is random Twitter threads. It's my fault for even reading it. Okay, I wanted to just show you that video, but the thing I wanted to point to you, the thing that I want to point out is that like the crisis will get significantly worse for people who have been impacted. Because now they have a secondary crisis of tremendous amount of paperwork and the rebuilding process. Okay? And in that process, there are going to be some real looters. A lot of people look to the situation and go, oh, looters are actually going to come down and take advantage of this chaotic situation to steal the valuable possessions of people who have been fortunate enough not to be super impacted by these wildfires, that have their entire homes be burned into the ground. But the real looters are actually the predatory insurance companies that are going to do everything in their power to not pay you out, even though you gave them money, knowing full well that if the unthinkable happened, that you would be covered. Okay? The real looters are going to be real estate developers, private equity that come in and look to your most vulnerable moment and offer you like below market rates for the plot of land where your home used to remain, okay? Where the remains of your home are. They're going to try to seize as much of the real estate marketplace as fast as they possibly can, okay? They're going to lowball you. This also plays along with the insurance companies because the insurance companies are working to maximize their profits. And in a crisis like this, they're, going to only be able to do that by refusing all of your claims. And in that weak and desperate moment, you are going to have to make a very difficult decision. Do I just sell off my land instead of the tumultuous rebuilding process? The other looters are going to be the landlords because you hopefully have a little bit of money, right, on the side. Insurance will kick in to pay your rent, for example, if you're fortunate enough. And the people that own numerous properties know that. So they will raise the price of rent. Market conditions, okay? That is the real looting that will take place. But that looting is invisible. That looting is only done through the normal process of capitalism, profit-seeking entities, faceless, lifeless corporations doing that looting. So instead of focusing on that looting, Woodhouses is crazy. Okay, what's really silly about this is that California is a earthquake region, okay? Woodhouses are not crazy. Concrete also burns, chatter, just so you understand. And considering that it is a earthquake-prone region, yes, woodhouses are a more hardened defense against that sort of thing instead of concrete. That's the reason why these houses are built with wood. It's not because it's like they wanted to, be caught light on. They wanted to be lit on fire. My house wasn't burned down, but I've still been impacted by the fires. I work for LAUSD as a tutor, and before this, we had a month off work unpaid, and I really needed this next paycheck, but now school is canceled. My next paycheck has been pushed back even more. I can't imagine what I'd do if my house had burned down. Yeah. What is this? Saw something about how their companies are already trying to buy up some of the land burnt homes. Not sure if it's true or not. Of course it's true. It always happens after every fire. It happened after Lahaina. If you recall, there are always opportunists that try to buy low in the immediate aftermath, knowing full well that there are always going to be, even in the place like the Pacific Palisades, there are always going to be people who simply have, they don't have enough money. They can't wait for the insurance payout. They have to, they have to sit in their rental property that the insurance is paying for, that the insurance is subsidizing, and they see an opportunity. They see an opportunity for that land to go away, and they're like, okay, this is it. I need it. I'm desperate. There are always vulturous people that take advantage of these situations. The other thing that a lot of people do is also put out incredibly high rental properties. They've already started popping up in the Mar Vista area, in the Santa Monica adjacent neighborhoods, where single family homes that used to be rented out for 15 grand a month. These are pretty large single family homes, just understand, similar to what you're seeing in like the Pacific Palisade area. Now they have doubled the rent. Yeah. There are single family homes that are going for like 10 grand a month to 15 grand a month. Now they are on the market. They are on the market for 30 grand. 30 grand. 15K a month is crazy. That's so cute that you guys are so oblivious to Los Angeles real estate, Los Angeles housing market. Yes, dude. Yes. Single family homes in Los Angeles in the rental market are like 15 grand a month, 10 grand a month. Yes. Like, why do you think the house I live in that every single person that has visited has said is like a normal house? And I couldn't understand why there was so much hubbub around it. Why do you think it was 2.7 when I purchased it? Because the LA housing market is bricked, okay? It is so broken. Jamie Lee Curtis comparing the LA wildfires to Gaza just shows the detached view of the reality of these celebrity champagne socialists. Why is has Jamie Lee Curtis ever said she's a socialist? What are you talking about? No, she's just an out-of-touch Hollywood actress who quite literally posted a photo of Gaza famously in the beginning and said, look at this is what Israel looks like right now. And then everybody was like, Jamie Lee Curtis, that's Gaza. You posted Gaza while defending Israel. Who do you think is doing that to Gaza? It's Israel. And she just deleted that post and then never said anything about it ever again. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Anyway, it's funny to think that it's like, socialism here, though.
Seems like when we talk about whole neighborhoods, until you see it on the ground, and the only way to really see it is drive through to see those naked chimneys with nothing around them. The playthings and toys of children just completely disintegrated here, and this goes on block after block on both sides of the street.
Nah, bro, I see a lot of opportunity to loot, man. I look at this and I think to myself, well, time to loot. Meanwhile, the real looters are the insurance companies. The real looters are the agribusiness interests that have absolutely gutted water management in this state. The real looters are the Los Angeles Police Department that takes up so much of the limited resources that your taxpayer dollars actually fund. And you're over here thinking about you're fantasizing about like a random scary Guatemalan guy looting the ash out of this house that is like eviscerated, not realizing that in and of itself is actually a continuation of the same structure. Okay. That right there, when you talk about looters and how devastating and how scary it is, acting like this is a ginormous problem. And I'm not saying that there isn't a single person that has, tried to use this as an opportunity to steal. But if you consider the situation, if you consider the 18 million, if you consider the tens of thousands of structures that have been destroyed, and you think to yourself that, oh, there's like some serious looting happening.
As far as the eye can see.
Right now, could just be taken off the map. There is no Pacific Palisades.
But trickling back into this hellscape were families hoping to salvage an heirloom or a memento.
That is the living room. That's the front entrance.
This is for everybody.
Beyond that, there was a bedroom.
In the rubble of a condo building in Pacific Palisades, we meet Gail and Mario.
Is this your safe?
It is. Wanted to get to it before the looters got to it.
Gail fled with just her nurse scrubs, a phone.
Wanted to get to it before the looters got to it is crazy. Like, everyone's brains are broken, dude. Like, everyone's brains are broken. I swear to God.
And little else.
The documents, passport, things like that?
Nothing.
Are somewhere here.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything. Everything.
The widow hoping her wedding ring had survived this inferno.
Wow.
Mario pushed the safe off the building, then cracked it open. And for a moment, Gail held her breath.
Oh, yeah. These your rings?
Yeah, my wedding ring. This is my wedding ring.
There it was, still glittering.
Very cool.
Quickly, police on the hunt for looters came to investigate.
How major of a concern is looting here? Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And then you.
Dude, that's crazy. Of course the cops are going to say that. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. Dude, that is... Oh, it's so funny because under any other circumstance, you would recognize exactly what's going on here. You know what I mean? But when it comes to like reactionary propaganda, the media totally is like, yeah, you're right. This is a huge deal. This is a serious, ginormous problem. That's why you need all the budgets, actually. I'm so glad that you got all the budgets. Okay? It's a tacit endorsement of the ridiculous funding structure that exists in Los Angeles, okay? It is a way to basically say, fear not. It's not the LAFD that deserves more of those funds. It's actually the cops, because they're stopping the scary looters. Remember, they're stopping the scary looters. There's a lot of income inequality here. Okay, there's a lot of poors out here. Maybe the poor started the fire. You never know. Maybe they just hate it. Maybe they just hate the rich. That's why they started the fire. Please, no matter what you do, do not look at the situation directly in front of you. Do not look at the mismanagement of funds. Do not look at the mismanagement of resources. Do not look at climate change being an accelerant in all of this. Don't do it. Bro, I swear the looting is literally happening. I've personally dealt with them today. No, bro, I work in security here in Malibu. We had 6 looters this morning. Like, dude, Hasan, I've literally kicked out 6 dudes on bikes that were trying to start looting. I'm a security guard here in Malibu. Okay, once again, I'm not saying that there is no looting happening, okay? I'm talking about how much people are hyper-focusing. Also, dudes looting on a bike, like, no, they're not looting. They're just messing around. You know what I mean? Like, they're being annoying. Some of them might actually want to steal shit. Your job is to basically make sure that they're not anywhere near you or anywhere near the property you're supposed to be guarding. Oh, you know, okay, if you say so, King. I'm not saying let him on the property, dog. I don't know what's so hard to understand. Once again, there are 18 million people living in Los Angeles, okay? Like, are there going to be opportunists? Of course there are, okay? Just like I'm not discounting the notion. Just like I'm not discounting the notion that it could have been arson, at least for one of these fires. Oh, my God. My point is, we have this bias often, okay? We have this bias where, like, we get primed into thinking that anything and everything that we see might actually be in line with the preconceived notions that we have of society. Calling them opportunists is so dark. I don't know what else to call them. They are taking advantage of a situation of a crisis if they are actually trying to steal stuff. The point I'm trying to make is that it is marginal, okay? It is marginal, but the reason why you hear about it nonstop is for a nefarious purpose. The reason why that's the only thing you hear about, and then that actually shapes the way that you see what's going on in your own backyard, that causes you to think every single person that you don't really recognize might be a looter, is because there is a scary, insidious, propagandistic purpose to constantly thinking about looters in the aftermath of natural disasters, so that you never question why the cops get more money year over year and why the fire department doesn't have that same unlimited budget. That's it. And people refuse to understand it. They'll come in here and they'll be like, oh, looters though. It's like, I get it. Okay. I'm not saying that they don't exist, But the real reason why they're hyper focusing on this narrative is because twofold. One, if it bleeds, it leads. It's great clickbait. And two, it's a way to constantly make you afraid that there are a tremendous number of villainous figures that are poorer than you that want to do horrible violence to you all day, every day. And that's precisely the reason why you need cops. That's precisely the reason why you need multiple billions of dollars, more tanks for the cops.
You have $1 million homes all intact, rows and rows of them. And there's really no way to police this area effectively right now.
At least 20 people have been arrested for looting and checkpoints.
Hasanabi, it's a huge problem. 6 looters, bro. Chatter told them to leave, and then guess what happened? They left. Stop downplaying this real serious business. True. My bad.
Where? So right now, that young man on...
We do need cops, though. We don't need to sub anymore since you don't run ads. Can you address that? Yeah, I can. You don't need to subscribe anymore, but you can if you would like to. If you'd like to do so. At the top of the hour, nonetheless. Even though there are no more ads, I don't run ads any longer. I can in the future. Maybe you'll be able to avoid them in the future. Why does the media run with that narrative? I 100% agree with. I'm just confused about the media's angle because it's more entertaining and interesting. Just as it is more entertaining and interesting to talk about Paris Hilton's house being burned down in Malibu than it is to talk about the black middle-class family in Altadena losing their nest egg and everything that they worked their entire lives for. And that's precisely the reason why people look at the situation and go, oh, it's all rich assholes who lost their 8th house. I don't care. That's the whole point. The media is not covering this in that way specifically because they want to draw resentment and ire towards the victims of a massive wildfire. They're doing that because that is a narrative that's cool and interesting and unique. And these guys want to make things unique and interesting. Okay? That's it. That is the primary goal. And this isn't the entirety of the media because I do have to give a lot of credit to local news and even mainstream news in general. They've done a tremendous job aside from like the, insane looting is happening everywhere. We have to start killing random people and it's probably arson narratives. They've done a tremendous job, accurately and in real time giving you information that you need. This is one of those moments where you have to remember, like, this is why local media matters, okay? This is why local news is incredibly important. Think about it. Think about what you see on Twitter. Think about your Twitter timeline, how malleable it is and how silly it is that, like, you have to scour through basically multiple scrolls worth of scrolls worth of your timeline on Twitter to arrive at like accurate information in real time, as opposed to local news, okay? As opposed to mainstream outlets that are in real time offering you real time coverage about what's going on. Zylex, by the way, thank you for the 50 big ones. Sorry, I didn't get to address that, but thank you for the 50 gifted subs. Allowing 50 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Follow your streams daily because you talk the most sense. I just figured I'd let you know what I had to deal with. I can go f myself though, chat. Okay, don't get mad. And chatters, don't be annoying, okay? Don't be annoying to the guy. He's just giving us his own perspective. The looting fear is just so overblown. The cops need to set up a perimeter anyway since most of the area is still dangerous. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like there is a role for police here. There is a role for police, as I pointed out when the fires were happening. They're there to redirect traffic and ensure people can't get into these areas, okay? They're there to make sure that everyone can evacuate safely. They're there to ensure that people can't go back to their houses by force if necessary, to stop them by force if necessary. Because when you allow random people to go in through the cordon that the area that you cordon off, you're creating a worse situation for emergency services. You are now a potential victim that needs to be saved. You have a car that is potentially blocking the emergency services that might need to use that route. So cops actually do play an important role here. They just don't really do that important role. It's not about stopping the looters. There are plenty of places where the police force play an important role in crisis management in times like this. The issue, however, is that they rarely do the job that they're supposed to. And then they just sit around and talk about looters all day and about arson and about homeless people potentially like lighting these fires or whatever. Bye.